what was that first question? Why
doesn't the 150 fly high passes?
Yeah, why doesn't the 150 fly the high passes? Going to Denver from Gallup, New Mexico. Why does he go to Albuquerque, Santa Fe, around the San Pedro's to Las Vegas, New Mexico, toward Raton, and then out towards Oklahoma, and around those mountains at Raton, and then up to Pueblo? Because he doesn't want to go over the high passes with his low-powered airplane. But it's closer to go from Gallup to Farmington, actually a little south of Farmington, go over Cumbridge Pass, San Luis Valley, Alamosa, La Veta Pass, over into Walsenburg, Pueblo, either behind Pikes Peak or out onto the plains in front of Pikes Peak, doesn't matter. In his 150, or I flew that route all the time in an air coupe with my wife and her cat. The cat loved that air coupe, sat in the back window there. The common practice with the bigger airplane, with the bigger engine, is to circle and climb up to go over this pass. And that's not the most energy efficient most of the time. We've got thermal lift that we could use. We've got orographic ridge lift, which I'll explain some of. We need to, if we're going to fly seriously in the mountains with low-powered airplanes, which is perfectly safe and has been done for years, and all those Idaho strips that these guys go into with these big engine airplanes that are very light, very, very much power to weight ratio. Guys went in there with Luscombs and Champs and Taylorcraft and Cubs, J3 Cub. So I'm talking about all 65 horsepower engine airplanes, and the runways were half as long as they are now. How did they do that? Well, they knew how to fly the mountains. We need to know that we're flying in rivers of air. We're not just a part of the air mass. We're in some air moving this way, some air moving that way, even on flat ground. We've got thermal lift, like the glider pilot knows, where it's dark, he's got downdrafts, and where it's bright, he's got updrafts, but we don't care. We're not circling and trying to stay in that. We're just trying to, like we were talking before, go up in the up air and go down in the down air. And then we got orographic lift, which is ridge lift, where we want to catch the air coming the right way. And we need to get into the topo map reconnaissance first, because if we're going to seriously fly in the mountains, we need to know a little more accurately than a sectional is good. It's a topo map, but it's a 1 to 500,000. And the topo map that'll give you the big picture is a 1 to 25,000. 1 to 25,000. Military was why was military 1 to 24? Or no, it's the same. I don't know. They were different for some reason. I don't know. They got to be different. Anyway, get the big picture. Get a topo map and look at your valley ridge drainage system that you want to use for lift, orographic lift, if you're going to go in a low-powered airplane. Yeah, you can circle and get way up and then fly in that 40, 50 mile an hour headwind, and you might not have enough gas to get there. But if you stay down in less wind and then take the ridge when you get there, take it up, take the elevator up, there is an elevator there if you use the wind management to use it. So first of all, we need to know how to read that topo map. So we're trying to get up to this pass. We're coming from here, going up to here. Here's a mountain, and here's a pass. A saddle is what the military would call that pass. So in a saddle or pass, you have in two directions it's up, and in two directions it's down. That's how you know what those little lines on that topo map are telling you. They'll have the lines of equal elevation will also help you, and they'll be here too, will help. But basically we're looking at 2 up, 2 down for a saddle. For a ridge, on the map, and especially on my board here, a ridge doesn't look any different than a valley. So how do we know that we're on a ridge? Looking at these lines of equal elevation. Okay, on a ridge we're going to have 1 up. 1 up and 3 down. See, up, down that way, down if we walk that way, and down that way. Just look at the cardinal headings and they'll tell you what kind of terrain feature you're on. Whereas if you're in the valley, you're going to have 1 way is up to the pass, that's up drainage. 1 way is down, and that's down drainage, and there's usually a river or a creek or at least a drainage. I use drainage instead of river or creek or stream because I lived in Gallup for a long time, and in the desert, unless there's been a rain, which is a flash flood, you have that line like this, a line, dot, 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 and a line. That means intermittent. That means only when there's a flash flood is there water in that drainage. But as far as that airplane cares, that's still downhill, and that's still a lot easier to fly than uphill. So we're going uphill, but we got, say, a prevailing wind from the southwest or prevailing wind from the northwest. Let's do the southwest. We're going to use this ridge. If it were northwest, we'd use this ridge because we want to go downwind from the valley and up the ridge. The wind is going to come over this ridge and down into this valley and up over that ridge. So we've got downdraft here, updraft here. We want to use that updraft to take us up this ridge, and when we start out in the way down valley where the airport is, then we're going to get on the thing down here at a low altitude, and we're going to ride it up just like the glider ridge riding in the Blue Ridge Mountains. They're called ridges. Yeah, they're ridges. Yeah. Anyway, we're going to ride up, and we're going to get as high as we can on the ridge, but we're going to take what we can get, and that ridge actually goes higher here than here sometimes, and sometimes not. So this is the point where we have to decide whether we're going to continue and go over this saddle, this pass, or we're going to do an energy management turn, which I already talked about, back down drainage. And if we do the energy management turn, the 1G turn, regardless of the bank angle, we want enough bank angle to go here, not here. Here we'll hit something. Here is the drainage. Put the nose in the drainage, and I don't care how much you have to bank it, relax the back pressure, and it cannot stall. The airplane cannot stall itself. It requires a pilot pulling back on a stick. And pilots pulling back on sticks kill themselves in the mountains. Don't pull back on the stick if you decide to go back down drainage. Okay, here we're just holding on to what we have, trying not to get too slow and trying to catch that lift. And if we get enough, we might get some here too and get over. Once we get into here, what we're going to have? We're going to have a Venturi. We're going to have a stronger southwest wind, and it's more oriented right between the mountains. So we're going to have a headwind and a strong one and lots of lift. If we can catch that really strong Venturi headwind, we're good. Don't worry about it's flat. I mean, when you get up there, the creek goes like this. Why? I mean, they're in the mountains. It's supposed to go. No, it's flat up there. I don't know. God knows why. That's what happens on a pass. It's flat for 5 miles. And so it's kind of scary. It's flat across there. Suddenly you're in Kansas. You got to go 5 miles and flat. Don't worry about it. You're in a strong headwind. You're not going to go very fast, but you're not going to get you get downdraft. If you get over on this side, you're going to get downdraft. But as long as you stay to this side, you got nothing but headwind and updraft. and you're over. So stay up here at 12,000, right? No, it's windy up there. Go back down in the next valley and fly low again. Use your, trade your altitude, your potential energy of altitude becomes airspeed, and instead of 100 miles an hour, 150? Yeah, 100 miles an hour, now you're going 150 miles. Well, don't tear it out, but you're going 120 miles an hour for a while, and then you're down low and you're not in so much wind, and head for the next pass, or Alamosa and get some gas or something like that. And when we get to Alamosa, Continental doesn't go in there if it's above 90 degrees. Why? Because they only got 7,000 foot of runway, can't get off. High density altitude. And we've already talked about the basic low ground effect takeoff. Now it has become, say, Angel Fire, New Mexico, which is a flat plain surrounded by mountains, and one way up drainage is a slight incline, or it appears to be a slight incline, and the other way toward the lake, the runway is north-south, basically. I don't know the actual numbers. It's probably not exactly north-south. South, north, lake, river, and mountains